What if I told you one of my most powerful moments as a facilitator and a group coach happened in complete silence? Had nothing to do about anything I said, but really what God did. We're going to get in that today in the series that we're part of, learning from really my mistakes. That's what it should be called. But it's learning from what I wish I would have known before I started out in this amazing journey of Step Out and Thrive. And are you in the right place? Well, welcome to the Radical Care for Christian Counselors podcast. We're here for counselors and mental health professionals and pastoral care leaders, but we're also here for moms and dads and missionaries and really anyone that feels overwhelmed and even isolated because the work that we get to do pouring out into the lives of other people. And we're looking for a community, we're looking for a group where we can be ourselves, but not only experience that, but offer that to other people, because a lot of times we get burned out by doing one-on-ones. We really want to create groups of transformative impact. So if that's you, you're in the right place. And we love that you're here. And I say we because I really do feel like there's a group. Every time I get on this podcast, the people are like, you're talking about we, like there's other people in the room with you. And it is kind of weird now that I'm sitting here thinking about it. But I really do picture you all on the other side of this screen. I'm picturing the stories. I'm picturing the people that I get to connect with week in and week out. So I want you to know I really do record this for you. And I really feel the presence of the communities here as I record. With that being said, we're going to be talking about what it really looks like and feels like to do active listening, because I really wish someone would have had this conversation with me early on, that it really is less to do about what I'm saying, but it has more to do about my skill with active listening. And I feel like I knew this going on before, but I really had not experienced it until I started using it in my everyday. This is my story. I got to be a part of a group and I was the coach and facilitator of the specific group. It was not a tip community group and it was not a check-in group. It was a different group for a different organization. And I got to be part of this. I was facilitating a conversation, and what happened blew my mind. One of the group members, and I got permission again, preface this by saying, do not share stories of anybody without getting their permission. So this is a smaller group. I was able to go and ask the group, and I've used this before, so I know I'm allowed to share it. But I do not use names and I do not identify. And so it's just a general, and some of these stories may have been changed. I feel like I'm doing like a CSI introduction, but you guys get the gist. Just do not share stories without the other person's agreement to be able to do that. With that being said, I'm in this small group, this one person sharing, and they get to this point in their story where they just kind of take a breath. And as a coach and a facilitator, I'm listening to the story. And as soon as this person took a breath, one of the other group members jumped in and they wanted to ask a question, which, is allowed in this standpoint. But I just kind of noticed myself as I'm listening, because I'm listening to some of the words that this person had shared, and it was different than the verbalization, the different tone. It was a different facial posture. It was a different words that she was using. And I noticed, I'm like, this is an important moment. And I can almost ruin it by saying something. So I made the hard choice at that moment as a facilitator and also a coach to kind of go like this to the screen. And luckily, the person that was about to say something stopped and understood. I don't know if she fully understood, but she stopped for a minute and kind of stepped back. And because the person that had just said and shared a little bit, I think was so overwhelmed by what she had shared that she didn't even notice this other person about to speak. And we just gave her some time. And the group was so attuned to what was happening in that moment. We just literally sat in silence. And I was worried that somebody was going to say something, because, especially on Zoom, we're like, Did this thing freeze? Right? How many times have we heard that? When really it's silence that's going on. It's not frozen. It's just silence. People are processing. People are thinking, right? So lucky for me, nobody said that. And we just sat in silence and let this person process what they had said. And sure enough, and it was a whole minute. Now, mind you, you can even pause this podcast or video and sit silent for 1 minute. If you've never done that before, just do it by yourself. It's awkward. Imagine doing it with an entire group, sitting in silence for a minute. It's not normal. Okay? So, painting this picture for you, I'm not saying let's sit for a minute. I'm not saying anything. I'm watching and listening to what's going on. And sure enough, right around that minute mark, I'm sensing the group is just at that weird place where it could go almost anywhere. And I look into this person's square and I start seeing her wiping away tears. And we just sat with her. And we let her be. And we let her cry. We didn't try to fix. We didn't turn off our cameras. We didn't say a word. And I think with all the groups that I've been a part of, and I've been in so many, I don't want to try to put a number on it, okay? That was the stillest and most present moment I think I've ever experienced in a group to date. And that speaks for itself. I've been in so many groups, you guys. And what happened is that she said the words. And I don't even remember everything that she said next. And either does she. And we didn't record it because of privacy reasons. But she said something to the effect of, okay, we can go on. And I just kind of went like this. And I said, do we have to? And so many people in our group just took a deep breath. And I spent some time just with the group, asking them here some questions about what they were feeling, what they noticed just happened. The person that had shared with us what was going on inside of her as that moment of quiet. And she said she'd never had that ever before in her life. Our group was able to give her something that she had never had before in her life. Do you know what it feels like to really be listened to? Do you know what that feels like? To be able to hear your voice and to meet the eyes of somebody on the opposite end of the screen or maybe in physical proximity, and you know that they're with you and they're not going anywhere and they are not going to try to fix you, that they're not even going to try to work some coaching guru on you at the moment, that they are just happy to be with you and they're reading your body language and they are with you in such a point where they don't even want to ruin the moment by speaking. If you have not encountered that, friend, you're missing out. And I'm praying that you are able to offer that to other people. Active listening is not something that you just learn from a book. That would be great if it was, because there are so many people I would love to give that book to. But anyway, active listening is something that you have to practice. Because here's the thing, there is so much going on in our internal landscape, right? Even as you've been engaging with this podcast, there's been stuff going on. You've been noticing some body sensations, or maybe you haven't, but they've been going on. Okay, there's a lot going on in this internal landscape for you to be present with that, but then also be present with what's going on right in front of you. That's part of active listening that we don't never talk about. And if you don't process what's going on inside of you, and if you don't bring that into the open, how are you really supposed to really hear what's being told to you, what's being indirected? And not only that, be able to hear and process and let it land inside of you in such a way that even if it brings something up, you don't have to fix and you can still be present in the moment. Do you see why that isn't just learned, that it has to be practiced? I'm still practicing it. And there are many times that I speak in a moment where God's like, they don't need your words. You know, the acronym WAIT, and I learned this from Janice Fletcher over at Christian Coach Institute. She would always say, wait, why am I talking? Here's the thing, clients, church members, friends, kids don't always need to hear your voice to know that they are seen and heard and understood. Let me say that again, just in case you weren't listening. The people in our life don't always need to hear our voice to know that we are with them. We show that through our body language. We show that through our eye contact. We show that from just being with them in silence and feeling what they're feeling. Sometimes it's even through a hug from a person and letting them cry or joining with them in their excitement and smiling. Active listening is something that has to be practiced. And that's why I'm so passionate, really, about these groups and giving people opportunities to go deeper in groups. Because if they don't get to experience that in a safe group, they're not going to be able to offer it to somebody else elsewhere. Do you know the gift that you have, friends? To offer safe places where people can come and experience God and experience what it feels like to be in a place where they belong. And to offer that, we have to be able to not only experience it ourselves, but to practice it in safe places. That's why we offer the Thursday check-in group, because it's a very beginning experience for those that have never experienced anything like that before. We're not doing anything quite as crazy as what I mentioned here, but we begin that process and you get to see where you are. So if you'd like to check out a free session, you just go to bethanyboring.com and we'd love to have you. Friends, I just hope that you're walking away with knowing that God can use you in so many powerful ways. In fact, if you're listening to this podcast right now, there's more of a chance that He is already using you in ways that maybe you don't even realize yet. But I want you to know that God does not make mistakes. God can speak through you, but He can also just use the power of your presence to show other people that they are seen and they are noticed and they are loved. Don't underestimate that, and learn how to practice and offer active listening. I think that's enough for you to chew on this week. I would love to see you in a future group. And until then, get curious about the beauty that God is painting all around you, through the people that He gets to put in your life to just be with. And as always, dare to do more than just survive. Listen and step out and thrive. Have a great week, everybody. Bye.